Hey guys, so today I decided in the midst of me doing my finger exercises, I should record this to show my survivors, supporters, whoever, this wonderfulness that's going on with the hands. So this is my non-affected side, this is my affected side. You see how those fingers are moving fluently? And today, it could be rain induced, we have extreme tone in these fingers, like extreme. I'm not getting very much curl and curvature in the fingers. I kind of got the ET joints going on, but anywho, so usually I have a lot more movement in the fingers. Like I said, it definitely likely it's rain induced. And as I was just doing my exercise, I noticed like, wow, my fingers are not trying to curl and curve as they usually do. But it doesn't mean I can't do anything. It's just making everything a lot harder in the sense of I have to concentrate much more when I'm doing this because I'm not giving the curvature. So I have to watch as I'm trying to pick the points all the way off the table. And even with me I was about to show you, trying to put it down, it was still stuck to my fingers because my fingers did not want to curl. So basically, I'm going to show you the difference. So how I began to loosen it up, I'll still be able to do the exercises, but they're so stiff right now. I loosen them up, I have to keep doing one of these things. It's to trigger the brain that we can curve those fingers. Curve and curl, curve and curl. And as I explained in most of my videos, I like to do a mirror therapy, doing the same thing with your affected side that you do with your non-affected side, or non-affected side to what, you know what I'm saying. But basically, it helps your brain recognize, hey, I have two sides, I can do this on both. And at the same time we're doing that, it's helping to loosen those joints up and reminding it that it can actually close. So that right there, I'll do that in between as I'm gonna clear all these points off the table. I'll do that multiple times. It's really just, it's like you're warming up a muscle. And so that's what we're gonna go ahead and do. So that's one thing that's gonna help. But also, say for instance, if yours not just only the spastic fingers, you're dealing with spasticity in the wrist and the tone, and most of those would look like, so the tight wrist, you might have this situation here, or as you're trying to put your hand on the table, you may have one of these. So a few things I like to do with that is working to loosen up the wrist. We're gonna apply pressure to the table as we put the weight through it. And it's really stretching out that joint here. And it may not necessarily feel, well, likely it doesn't feel good because it's so tight and that tone sits in there. So we're gonna do this for a while. Just allow the body to recognize that we wanna loosen it up. And we're gonna do this over a duration of time. And you'll kind of just keep working it back and forth, back and forth. And I'll sit back down so you can see, even as you're being seated, what you can do is apply more weight and pressure through that wrist, going from one direction to the next. And again, it's just gonna take some time to really get movement in it. It's like, say for instance, I'm trying to think how you can say if something is really tight, even a jar is tight. And over time, when you keep on prying and prying, eventually you can loosen up, or say a screw, and you keep eventually loosen it up by just, I'm trying to think, lubrication, something that you can lubricate. So basically we're lubricating the joints by applying movement and applying heat to it. I guess that will be the best way for me to explain it. So we're loosening it up, and you'll constantly do this. So the same way I was doing with the fingers as such, we'll do that with the wrist. And over time, just focus on different exercises to get it moving. And if you're still dealing with the situation that the fingers are completely, I'm trying to tuck this in, because mine isn't, but I'm trying to tuck it in, as most of the survivors are still dealing with that situation. How to get that open, we gotta work on actually prying those fingers open. And it may not be as easy. I'm actually purposely trying to lock mine in. Trying to lock it in. So therefore, to show you how survivors have to work on opening those fingers. So I'm purposely, again, forcing strength through it. And it's gonna take you a while to get that hand inside to work on getting those fingers open. So again, to get those open, you're gonna keep applying pressure to them until we get it to a position where you can relax them. And again, my hand does open, so I don't have that issue in a sense, but I'm using the force to kind of mimic what most of the survivors are still dealing with their closed type fists and type fingers. So once we got that open, you still may have that tone in the wrist that it doesn't relax. But again, that's something we can work on as a separate exercise, as to get that tone and that wrist down. So as we got the fingers going, finally got them open and relaxed, and they may not stay there. I'll act as if they don't. They may not stay there. So what we do is we're going to keep applying pressure to this one. I have another video on my YouTube channel that shows you how I put a weighted beanbag on the hand to help with applying the pressure to get our fingers used to relaxing in that position. Because what happens is, it's how we need constant repetition to get those fingers and that brain to understand what we're trying to do. It's the same thing as we can hold that weight on here while we're trying to do things. That's helping our body and helping our brain to recognize as such we're trying to do. So as I have the hand open, what I'm doing here is I'm stretching out the fingers. And again, this is good for me with dealing with all the spasticity today. Stretching the fingers so they realize and recognize that I want to get more movement and that it should have more movement in these as such. And it's, like I said, a lot of spasticity I'm dealing with today. So it does not hurt. The video may make it look worse, as it seems like I'm bending the fingers too much. I'm really just kind of shaking it up, doing one of these things, which is a natural movement that it should do on its own. But because of the stroke, it does not do it on its own as well. So with all of these things with our body, to get something back working as it should, it's constant repetition, constant hundreds, thousands that we need to do for different body parts. Especially fine motor skills are one of the biggest issues that we have to focus and spend more time on, because it's just the details that we need to do with these wonderful little fingers and digits we like to call. So we'll continue to do this with all of them. And again, just like lubrication, that's how you got to think about it. We're lubricating those joints here. So everything that we do on the non-affected side, we want to do on the affected side. Again, allowing the brain to recognize. And as you remember in the beginning of the video, how I wasn't getting very much bend in this pinky. As you see, the difference now is because I continue to manipulate them and maneuver the fingers one by one, now I'm getting my bend back. You see what I'm saying? We just have to do this. So just think about, I'm just doing this now, and I constantly did that back to back in these few minutes. Imagine if we continue to do this on a regular basis, daily basis, to have these things done. That's more that's going to help our body, and we'll be able to recover a lot faster with getting these things moving back to how they were prior to our stroke. So again, just a few tips I wanted to show y'all, again, with the fingers, just going back and forth and showing you how wonderful that was with me doing those few exercises and then getting the fingers back to moving back at a normal pace and getting more bend in them. So as I said, I will continue to clear this entire table with these coins, and I dropped that one, with these coins as my fine motor skill exercise for daily movement. So all of these things right here, that's funny. That is hilarious. I didn't even realize it was still in my finger. I didn't realize that was still in there, but anywho. So we're gonna keep rolling with that. But as I said, that is so funny that I'm sitting here getting closer to the video. And again, because I do not have 100% feeling in the fingers, that I did not recognize that it was still attached to my thumb. I didn't have it in the index finger anymore, the middle finger, but it was still on the thumb. So yeah, that just reminds me, another one I wanted to show y'all. Not gonna be as fluent because of the spasticity in my fingers, but another exercise that will be great for you to do is to take the fingers on one side by side. Well, again, here's the spasticity in this pinky that's gonna happen. But what I'm gonna do, because I have all that spasticity, I'm going to take this pinky and I'm gonna bring it to this one. And because of that, so I'll continue to do this as such until I warm these fingers up, and we'll just keep going all the way through. And it doesn't mean you can't assist this finger by bringing it to like such until I do this, I'm going to do this at least 30 times back to back, and then the finger will start to move much fluently. As you see, even with those 3 times, it's going better. But again, I have to break up that spasticity. So that's what's going on here. And again, as I said, it's not always like this, but this is just an exercise and just something that reminds you, even though recovery is great and you see me back to doing everything that I love to do, we do have some days that we may have to take it back to where we started off in the beginning. And me today with having extreme spastic fingers, this is an exercise that I got to do to get them back moving. So it means I'm not going to walk around and say, oh, I can't use my hand today because my fingers are spastic. Nope. I'm going to work through and take myself all the way back to what the exercise I did prior to me having my full movement. We'll just do this again. We'll do this 30 times all the way through on each hand, and we'll constantly do this. So I'll do that, and then I'll go back to doing my fine motor skills with the exercise. Then I'll come back to that and just constantly. So again, this is my length of the video because I said I was not going to make it longer than 12 minutes, but we're going to constantly keep taking this video, these fingers, I apologize, and going back to back, just working to get those digits loosened up. And like such. And as I always show y'all, so even those small movements right there, how we've already been able to loosen it up, just like such. All right, I'll catch y'all next time. If y'all need anything, y'all can leave me an email, bodybytrace@yahoo.com.